Hello and good day to you. Today's video we'll be making an Icord flower to complement a little girl's gather gown. For the gather gown, I've knitted this pattern I've knitted it using tuck lace. There's a video on how to knit a gather gown on Anino TV YouTube. You can now, but this pattern for the gather gown is not there. You see it in your manual if you are using a knitting machine. So for this Icord flower that we are going to make today to complement this gather gown, for this Icord flower that we're going to need today to complement this gather gown, we need our yarn, this is double knit yarn, 100% acrylic. I think I can't remember. I think it's just a peach, but is it peach or apricot? I can't remember. But it's by Robin's brand, Thomas Ramsey. You need your tape measure. You need to measure the length. You need a copier paper, a pencil or a pen. We're going to just do a little sketch. Claw weight, because we are knitting the Icord, we'll need to hang down. Transfer tool, and for our transfer tool, I'm using this one side. You can use either of them. You need a crochet hook to do the darning or finishing of the Icord. You need scissors to trim off loose yarn. You need a ruler. I prefer one in centimeters. If you want to put a bead in the center of your loopy flower, then you will need bicom beads or any bead you desire. These bicom beads, acrylic. You need needle. I've threaded mine just so that I don't lose it. So you need tapestry needle, and if this depend on the backing you want to put on your Icord flower. This is some blank French barrette. This is 4 centimeters. I think I have one here of 8 centimeters. So this 8 centimeters, this 4 centimeters. You can decide which one you want, but because it's for a little girl, the gown I made is 12 months to 18 months. So I'll be using this little one. That's the one of 4 centimeters. You need your knitting machine and its carriage. So now let's design and then we'll knit. What we are going to do now is just to make a petal shape. I'll sketch one here, not too big, and if I don't like it, I'll sketch another one and then choose which one I like. So if it's gonna be 5 and I don't want it to be too big, is it? Okay, that's still all right. Let me sketch another one and I'll decide. Okay, I'll go with this one. Just 5 small petals. Then you take a yarn. After the edge of the yarn, you can see how this is not pointy. You place the tail of the yarn here on the tip, one of the petal tip. Let me form this first. It's easier when you try to form and then so you place the tail of the yarn on one of the petal tip, then you try and make it form the petal like on yarn on board, but no glue in, with no glue. Because I'm trying to make you see what I'm doing. Why I'm not covering the work. Okay, so here we have our petal. I'm just going to press it down, then pinch it and pick it. With the scissors, I'm going to trim exactly so this is the length of one petal. Place your ruler and place the yarn on it. I'm trying to make sure the lighting is not affecting it. So put it up a little. Put your fingertip on one end, and you can use your fingers, but I'll just use this transfer tool to help me. Then you stretch it. It's about 9 centimeters. The yarn is already losing. It's about 9 centimeters. So that means this is 9 centimeters. Then 9 times 5, because we are making 5 petals. That's 45. So if you are going to make a petal of this size, we need to knit an I-cord of 45 centimeters. If that's going to be too small for you, you can make a larger petal and do same. Let me check this one, because it's going to be very small. If I put it on 1, 3, 4, 5, although it's going to be small, but we'll go with it. It's for a little child. But if you want it to be this size, then you have to. This size is all right. So let me check a bigger pit. Let's go with this one. We've made a bigger one before, so let's go with that one. So we need to knit a 45 centimeters. So we need to knit an I-cord of 45 centimeters. To knit our I-cord, if you take a look at the yarn mast, I've already threaded it. Let's take our carriage out, and on the carriage, the left side, it should be on triangle. The side lever on the left should be on triangle, and the one on the right should be on circle. Then your cam lever, which decides the stitch pattern, should be on XS point J. That's for slip stitch or jacquard. If not, it won't knit the I-cord, it will just keep on knitting and stocking it. Then your stitch dial, I'm using 7. Before, also make sure your row counter trigger is working and it's activated, because when it moves past, you want it to click. So if it's on the side, this deactivated, this activated. You want it to count the rows for you. In case you are making, you need to repeat the same I-cord for a long time. You now know how many rows you need. Your row counter, set it to 0, 0, 0. For this, we'll push for this project, we'll use about 3. Should I use 3? Want a bit thin. Okay, let's use 4. We'll use 4 needles. So push 4 needles to upper working position. Take your yarn out of the yarn feeder. Sorry, the mast. The yarn clip on the mast. Make a knot on the first needle on your left. Slip the knot into that needle. Don't make it tight, because your carriage is going to move and it will knit. If it's too tight, it won't knit. Take your yarn from the feeding, not the tail of the yarn. So you see, that's the tail. We don't need that. We want it. So from the feeding, you take your yarn, which is coming from the mast. You take your yarn from there. Can use your finger to support the yarn at the bottom. I'm going to E-wrap. Put the yarn in between the second and third needle. Wind it around the second needle and let the yarn pass between the second and first needle. Then it will E-wrap. That's yarn between third and fourth needle. Wrap around third needle and let it pass. When it's wrapping, let it pass between third and second needle, and it will E-wrap. Repeat until you've done the last needle. Then in the yarn feeder, put your yarn in the yarn feeder and shut. You can use any of them, number 1 or 2, on the yarn feeder. All you need to do now is knit. So it seems I made it a bit tight. It went back. It didn't need the last stitch. So I'm just going to manually knit it. Seems the knot is too tight. I made a tight knot. Okay, I've knitted it. Knitted a few rows. I'm going to hang the claw weight so that it helps me when I'm knitting, give weight to the knit, and it makes my end stitches knit properly. I've knitted 200 rows. I just want to measure. Remember, it's in centimeters, 45. We need to knit 45 centimeters. So it's on 200 rows now. Just want to measure. Take my claw weight off first, then I'll measure. Place the tape measure at the back. Make sure the centimeter is what is being viewed. You don't need to stretch. Don't stretch your work. So it's on 40 now. 40. We still need a few to make it 45 centimeters. I've knitted 200 rows. Just going to knit about 20 rows or 10 first and measure. Let's 20. So I knitted 200 and let's see. And still. Okay, it's now 45. It's now. Remember, don't stretch your work. So I'm going to leave it not to stretch. Okay, so 44.8. Sorry. Let me knit 4 more rows. and I think that will take care of it for me. That's 238. Let me just make it to 40. Okay. So I've knitted 240 rows, and that should be 45 centimeters. Okay. So let's measure. It's 45 centimeters. You can see it here. It's 45 centimeters. So now, if you want to cast off, you can cast off as you normally as. If you want to cast off, you can cast off as we normally do cast off, or you can decide to move all stitches into one needle and cast off. So I'll do that. I'll move all stitches, move the last stitch, put it on the third, move the third to the second, move the second to the first, so that all stitches, and I'll take them and put them on the first needle. Then I'll manually wind the yarn around the hook of the first needle with all the stitches, and I'll manually knit it. Then I'll do same again, wind the yarn around the hook of the first needle, and I'll manually knit it just to secure the stitches. Then for this loop, I'm going to snip the yarn off. Then for this loop, I'm just going to take the tail of the yarn, put it through the loop, then pull up, and we have a nice pointy edge. If you want to cast off the way we do cast off when we are knitting other garments, you can also cast off like that. We'll be doing that cast off. Is it the next project or so? I think that's it. We need to do that cast off. So put the crochet hook into the put the crochet hook into the loop of the Icord. Make sure it don't appear at the back. You just want it to appear on one. You want it to pass through the middle, and it comes out on top, close to the tail of the yarn. Wind the tail of the yarn around the hook of the crochet hook and pull it into the work, because you're trying to hide the tail of the yarn in the work. Then you pull it through. If you want to trim, now that we've done we've hidden some tail, more of the tail, we can trim this excess off. We need to repeat this for the other side of the Icord. So take the tail of the yarn, pull it into the work, Then we'll trim the excess off. Thread your tapestry needle and we'll start stitching. So now we have our yarn, the yarn that we have, the Icord, sorry, that we have knitted. We have our tapestry needle. If you have knitted an Icord and you decide that you want to just make it, you want to go random with the flower, you can join these two ends together, then make one loop, stitch it in, make this large loop into 2 equal halves, then make the one side of this 1/2 into 2 equal loop, make these into 2 equal loop, and you have formed your flower. You can go like that, or you can follow our pattern here, our template. So here's our template. Before we start, I'm just going to take the tapestry needle, put it through one end of it. You don't need to tie it down or stitch down, you just need a tail, a long tail, yarn tail. Then place your Icord on the template, follow it, and when you get to that point, with your finger pinch it in, tapestry needle, let the tapestry needle do the work, and secure it with the tapestry needle. You can stitch it twice or you can leave it once. You are still going to sew all together. So you take the point again, you continue forming your loop, your flower loop or petal loop, pinch, and with the tapestry needle you continue. You don't cut the yarn of the tapestry needle, you just continue stitching. So now we have to there's the tail. So now we need to make the third one. We repeat same. I know the tails of the yarn, they are getting in the way. And you pinch down, take the tapestry needle and let it secure it for you. Here we have it. And you make sure this beginning tail is not yarn tail is not getting in your way. So we have 2 more flowers to make, 2 more petals, sorry. Place it, we go around, and then we pinch. After pinching, we stitch it at that point together. So now we've done the fourth one. It's remaining the fifth one. I think I twisted this. Okay. No, I didn't. Did I? I think I did. Okay, so now we've done this, the last one. And we are going to form it in. And if you see it fits properly, it fits perfectly. You can see it fitting perfectly. So if you want, we're going to stitch it in two places. First, we'll stitch it together to form our petal. Then we'll stitch it to this first petal here to secure it, because we want a continuous loop. Sorry, we want a continuous flower. So I'll stitch it to the first one here where it meets. And then you see it will form that flower, but we need to secure it, so I'm going to stitch it to this first. This tail of yarn is still getting in the way, but we'll use it now. So let me see where it's coming from. Okay, we need it for finishing, to tie to the, okay. So now we've done it. We have our 5 petal flower. Just going to put this aside, the template aside, so that you see, then you can arrange it. You can see our flower. Okay. We've not finished. We just we can, to make it anchor properly, we're going to go round again and stitch it, just going through as if you're going through the same process of stitching. So here we have our flower. Then tie the tail of the first and the last and the first yarn. Tie them together just to secure it. Make a knot. We are not going to cut the yarn. I'm going to leave this first because we are going to stitch the bead to the center of the flower. So take your bead. You will still need that tail of yarn to secure. Okay. So take your bead, thread it in. Oh, no. Sorry. You know the stitches at the side now? We want it in the middle. So what I'm going to do is to bring, just insert the needle into the I-cord and make sure it comes in the middle. Or close to the middle. Then we pick our bead. You can go twice if the whole of the bead permits you to do that. You can go twice into the bead to stitch it down. So here we have a nice flower. So I'm going to take this, I'll take this onto the back. This is the front now. If you can decide where you want to be the front of the flower, where you want to be the back of the flower. So take the yarn to the back. Just stitch it through and take it to the back. Just trying to make sure the tail don't get in my way again. Oh, I made a mistake. I went to create a loop. I'm not supposed to create a loop. You're not supposed to see a loop where no. So if I can't come back through the same hole, I'm just going to take the yarn out of the needle and pull my yarn out. It was already at the back and I went to make another loop. So I'm going to thread the yarn into the eye of through the eye of the needle. You need this eye is really thin. It's small. Alright, so it's time for us to sew the barrette to the back. Decide which way we're going to place it. And you can slip. The nice thing about this is that you can slip the needle into the icord and bring it from a point that you desire. Hope it's not going around again. Can't make such mistakes. French barrette, smooth side face down. Place through the hole. You thread the needle through the hole. Stitch into the stitch. You have a nice loop around the edge of this the French barrette. When it's firm enough, is through the last one. When you're making the last stitch, just put the needle through the loop again. Put it a second time before you secure the loop down. This will tighten your work. Then what I normally do is that I'll go into all the loops, just put the needle to pass through the loops. Remember to sew away from yourself. I forgot to do it twice. That's fine. Then you cut and leave a little tail. You can see that it's firm there. We'll down in the thread, we'll down the yarn, the remaining yarn into the so I'm going to do that. I don't want this one to come in my way, to get in my way. Okay, so. Funny enough, I went to snip the yarn off. Not supposed to snip, I'm just supposed to pass it through. Now now I have much work to do. I forgot that I snipped it. Okay. So since I snipped it, let me find a nice piece for my work first. So we are stitching the other side down, the other side of the barrette. And please, when stitching, sorry I forgot to mention it, make sure your stitch do not appear on the front side of the I-cord. It's supposed to be just the middle and the place you are working on. You don't want it to appear on the other side. Remember, when stitching the last part, you put the needle into the loop a second time before you secure it down. Snip off excess. Can tie the first loop to the last loop if you made the mistake that I did, just to secure it. And we have, so let's darn in and get, so let's darn yarn in, trim off excess, and we'll have our knit. As usual, we are using the crochet hook. It needs to be a thin hook. The hook of the crochet needs to be crochet pin. The head of the crochet hook needs to be very thin. Make sure it does not appear at the other side of your work. You want a neat front and as well a neat back. I'm gonna trim this one. That's the one for the first time. Make sure you don't cut your work when you are trying to trim off the yarn. So here we have our 5 petal flower, loopy flower. It's because it's a tutorial, that's why it's taking time. If you are, because I have to be careful and demonstrate it properly. Normally don't take much time when you're making it. And you can make 2 together of different color, and just before you stitch it, you can just place them randomly as you want. You can make one the same color, make one smaller and make one bigger, so it's optional. So here is the Icord flower with a barrette at the back of it, and it's barrette. So here is the Icord flower that we've knitted and the gown that is going to complement. The little girl is going to place this Icord flower on her hair while she's wearing the tuck lace gathered gown with buttonhole shoulder opening. As I said earlier, if you want to knit a gown, you can use any stitch pattern. I used the stockinette stitch for the one I demonstrated on Anino TV YouTube. I think that's for 0 to 3 months old. You can use any stitch you want. And so thanks for joining me for this video of Icord Treasures. Project 3 of Icord Treasures. You can visit the blog AninoOgunjobi.com to keep up with what's happening in the crafting industry. Until then, happy crafting, happy knitwear designing, happy knitting, and remain blessed. Don't forget to have fun. Bye for now.